And I'm back to introduce Guy Newey. Guy Newey is a friend and colleague. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Energy Systems Catapult. He was previously an advisor to two Secretaries of State, Amber Rudd and the other Greg Clark, who I know this Greg Clark knows very well, where he played a key role in shaping energy policy, including the green growth strategy and the phase-out of coal-fired power stations. Previously, Guy had leadership roles at OVO Energy and Policy Exchange, and he began his career as a journalist, including time as a foreign correspondent in Hong Kong. I mean, did you know that we knew all of this about you? He's also a non-executive director at UK 100, advocating for local climate action. So let's give him a really warm welcome to the stage. Guy.
Thanks very much. I was once in a meeting, I think, with both Greg Clarks.
Oh, how did that go?
Well, it was very confusing. And then we thought about, because there's another big famous Greg Clark as well, isn't there? And we wondered whether we could engineer some industrial strategy crossover. He was involved in football, wasn't he? Whether we could place football, politics, crossover. We never made it happen.
Did you go for Greg 1 and Greg 2?
No, I think it was Secretary of State and Greg.
Okay.
I think that's the way we managed it, yeah.
I've got a really easy question for you first, which is, can you tell us about the Energy Systems Catapult and your areas of focus and how that comes together around transport and infrastructure?
Yeah. So this is normally the point where I say that the Energy Systems Catapult is the best of all the catapults. But after today, we will, at least for today, I think it's been an absolutely fantastic event. We'll talk about that in a bit. What does the Energy Systems Catapult do? So we are focused on helping innovators take advantage of the transition to net zero. And there's two big kind of homework questions that we focus on. One is, how do you decarbonize the kind of demand side, so the buildings? How are you going to decarbonise St Paul's Cathedral? Right down to how you're going to do Mrs Miggins at number 23. And so we try and make it really easy for consumers, think about opportunities around there. So that's our first big homework question. Second big homework question is, how is this new system actually going to work together? Putting a lot of wind, a lot of solar onto the system. The wind does not always blow, and in shock news, the sun does not always shine. How do you make that system work going forward? How do you take advantage of planning at different levels? How do you integrate an electrified transport system into the traditional electricity system? All of these questions are things that we work on, working with kind of innovators large and small, particularly around the kind of so transport, we're not involved in the kind of upstream technology. We don't get our spanners out, as it were, but we are thinking about how transport fits in with the wider system, which is a hugely exciting area. And crucially, kind of infrastructure area, we think a lot about planning. Just a couple of areas that we focus on. We do, loads of work, but things that I'm super excited about. When we're talking about buildings, we have a 5,000 home living lab, so real people's homes who have put their hands up and said, yes, you can come and try innovations with us. So if you've got a new way of controlling buildings, you've got a set of people who will come and say, nope, that's absolutely rubbish, or no, that works really perfectly, which is hugely valuable, people trying to raise money very quickly. We do a lot of work on vulnerability. One of the ways is, can we join up health system data with energy system data, so we can actually identify people who, if their homes are not warm, they're going to die, and get them help really, really quickly, which is, and keep them out of hospital and all of those super expensive things. And we do a lot of work around kind of energy planning, which is one of the big overlaps with Connected Places. How are we going to help cities, regions, towns decarbonise, think about what the things that they need to do first, all of those questions. So yeah, that's us.
Sounds great. And today,
yes,
at the summit, challenges and opportunities that you've seen, and what does that mean for energy systems, Catapult collaborating with us maybe, and government, business?
So first thing to say is this is a great venue. I've never been. I thought I'd done most venues in central London, but this is fantastic. So that one to say. Secondly, there's been lots of companies that we work with as well who are here. So Atomate, who are a really cool kind of building information company, City Science, who do some of the planning, and then some of the big boys, Arup and Eon Next, which we've done lots of partnerships around data and digital and various other things. So first of all, that's really nice for me, is that people are looking at the Catapult network and saying, oh yeah, I'll do a bit of work with them, because they've got an expertise in that, and then something else will emerge going forward. In terms of the opportunity, as always when I come to trade fairs, I'm just blown away. Every conversation you have is like, oh, that could fit in with this bit of the jigsaw and other things going forward. I think the opportunities around place and decarbonisation are absolutely massive. And we started kind of talking about this probably, 10 years ago, when we first started thinking, and to see how far it's moving on in the sense of the ability to get decent data on what the energy system is, which was appalling 8 or 10 years ago, certainly versus telecom sectors or other sectors, which was but also that you're seeing innovators coming through on all aspects of helping local areas make that journey. And it's really important to stress that when you're talking about heating and you're talking about buildings, like local is really important. It's such an obvious thing to say, but decarbonising Coventry is very different from decarbonising Cornwall or Norwich or Glasgow or whatever it is. But right now, central government hasn't quite worked out that is different. They think, it's going to be one-size-fits-all approach. And it's a real missing piece of the jigsaw. And we've been, trying to build that up, which is linked to lots of the brilliant work you guys do on planning and planning innovation and all of those areas. Because if we're going to have a chance of meeting our carbon targets, and despite some news in the last recent 24 hours about whether net zero is a thing, I still think it's absolutely a huge thing and a huge opportunity for the UK, I should say. You're going to have a really strong place-based element. And we need to win that argument. We need to win that argument with the new government because it's already been won at local authority level. They're desperate to help them navigate to their very ambitious targets and move forward. So I think there's a great opportunity both for the places there, but also all of the innovators that could potentially serve that.
And just one last question,
yep.
Which is sort of perhaps for the people in the room who don't know that for the 9 catapults, we work very closely together. But just thinking about all of them, maybe we should name them, see if we can list them off.
Let's not try and do that on a public stage. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how we work together, because I think we are really kind of managing to do that now, aren't we?
Yeah, it's really well. So I'm just coming to the end of chairing the CEO group of Catapults, which is really like herding cats. You've got 9 CEOs in the room, all with quite strong opinions. But one of the wonderful things about doing that is just hearing the kind of problems they're all working on and they're solving. So whether it's dementia, trying to tackle dementia, whether it is growing artificial food, whether it's manufacturing in space, which I still think is not really a thing, but apparently it's absolutely essential, sickle cell anemia, all of these societal problems, the Catapult network are trying to address and work with innovators to do that. And it's just absolutely fantastic to hear about all of that. And, you hear a lot from the government about, we're trying to unlock growth. Catapults are growth. That's what it looks like. It looks about companies getting new investment, getting new contracts, growing revenue, employing more people. And Catapult's, that network of 9 centres, is a huge driver of that. And it's matured, it's kind of kind of 10 to 13 years old, depending on different catapults, and they are growing, they're increasing in influence and having, massive impact. And it's a real privilege to be part of that.
I just wanted to take one last, I think we have 1 minute left.
Okay.
But I wanted to just return to what's been talked about a lot in this room this afternoon, which is data sharing, and just talk a little bit about what we've been thinking about around data sharing and the catapults.
Yeah, so, I'm always a bit embarrassed coming from the energy sector when I talk about data and digitalisation, because the energy sector is just getting to the foothills of the potential going forward. And I think there are huge, kind of loads of wonderful initiatives that are going on. We're thinking about data in the energy space and how you make that consistent and easily available. But almost every aspect of the Catapult network is looking at some different area of that. And the work around the National Data Library and all of those things is going to, and the UK is well placed to take advantage of that. But there's a few things that government has to do. There's a few things the Catapult network has to help out on. But again, we see it in so many of the examples of companies that are here today and elsewhere that we partner with. If that data is made available, people will work out ways of usefully using it and building businesses off the back of it. So that is a huge potential.
Definitely, thank you so much. I know that you're here today.
Yes.
Your team are here again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
If anybody wants to find Energy Systems Catapult team,
back their way, just past the cakes.
Absolutely. Don't get stuck at the cakes. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers, Erika.